Consider for a second that public procurement and government projects make up roughly 12 to 15% of the entire global GDP. We are literally talking about trillions of dollars actively shaping the world we navigate every single day, from those massive transportation networks you drive on to intricate social welfare frameworks. Overseeing initiatives of this massive scale is a deeply complex undertaking, and it takes way more than just basic administrative skills. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to decode the precise, cross-functional machinery that keeps our modern society running. Today we're diving into strategic program management in the public sector. If you're a professional navigating these environments, getting a handle on the mechanics of this discipline is absolutely essential to understanding how grand, high-level policy actually translates into functioning reality.
So how do these monumental projects actually survive? Honestly, it's kind of a miracle that they do at all, especially when you look at a rather surprising, maybe even alarming statistic. Historically, nearly 80% of sweeping, multi-billion-dollar public initiatives either run severely over budget or just completely fail to meet their initial policy goals. Think about it. You're dealing with competing stakeholder interests, regulations that shift on a dime, and intense, unforgiving public scrutiny. Without a highly rigorous, adaptive framework holding it all together, any one of these huge initiatives would just instantly buckle under its own weight. To keep a project from turning into an endless money pit, there has to be a sophisticated engine of governance running continuously right behind the scenes.
And that engine? That's program management. Now forget the standard idea of boring bureaucratic red tape. This is an aggressive, dynamic master conductor. It uses cross-functional governance, rigorous risk matrices, and really comprehensive stakeholder alignment frameworks to basically force order on the highly volatile environments. It gives us that structured oversight we need to align constantly shifting projects with very strict policy goals and public accountability metrics. In a nutshell, it's the strategic tool used to cut through deep bureaucratic friction and optimize tax resources, making sure a theoretical policy doesn't just die on a drafting table somewhere. Without this architectural framework, a government initiative is just a nice idea. But with it, it actually becomes a real, executed deliverable.
Now, this discipline isn't just stuck in one dusty corner of government operations. It actually acts as the connective tissue across 5 totally distinct areas, which really shows off its immense scalability. We see it governing infrastructure development, social welfare initiatives, policy implementation, digital governance, and disaster management. And the crazy thing is, the underlying architecture of that strategic oversight stays remarkably consistent whether you're applying it to poured concrete or written code. By looking at these 5 pillars together, we can really see how this integrated management approach stops isolated failures and just drives continuous progress across the whole spectrum of public services.
The real complexity kicks in when you look at the technical contrast between these areas. Over on one side, you have the physical, tangible world of infrastructure development. This domain leans heavily on inflexible waterfall methodologies. I mean, if you're engineering a multi-billion-dollar suspension bridge, changing the design becomes impossibly expensive the second that concrete is poured, right? So strict cost efficiency and hitting timelines are absolutely paramount. But then on the complete opposite side, you have the intangible world of digital governance. Managing national e-governance platforms and secure digital ID systems requires continuous iteration, highly agile methods, and incredibly rapid scaling based on what users actually need. Program management provides this sophisticated governance umbrella that can handle the rigid realities of physical engineering and the fluid, changing demands of digital modernization, all at the exact same time.
Now, coordinating society is, well, it's naturally full of friction. We all know government departments love to default to operating in highly insulated silos, which makes policy implementation incredibly tough. When a massive new reform is introduced, you can't just legislate it into existence and hope for the best. It takes program management to forcefully break down those silos and align everyone's competing agendas. And this flows right into how social welfare initiatives are executed. Coordinating healthcare, education, and housing programs takes a totally unified strategy to make sure resources actually reach the citizens who need them the most. It's essentially a massive exercise in complex change management, taking those high-level policy reforms and meticulously governing their rollout until they show measurable improvements in our daily lives.
But what happens during a catastrophic event? When a severe crisis hits a region, the default state is just total chaos. In these extremely high-stakes moments, the methodologies of program management get stress-tested to their absolute limits. Disaster management requires hyper-agile crisis governance and unbelievably fast reallocation of resources. We're talking about coordinating emergency responses across multiple different jurisdictions, managing the immediate logistics of rehabilitation, and, at the exact same time, laying the groundwork for long-term resilience. There is absolutely zero room for bureaucratic delays here. This is rapid-fire coordination happening under the most extreme duress you can imagine.
So bringing it all together, the source material drives home one absolutely crucial philosophy across all of these applications. Outcomes must deliver tangible benefits to society. In the professional world, we call this phase value realization. See, the ultimate metric of success in the public sector isn't just getting a project done under budget or successfully checking off a risk matrix. The entire point of all this cross-functional governance is real citizen impact. Whether the final result is a structurally sound transit system, a super intuitive digital tax portal, or a lightning-fast emergency response framework, strategic program management exists for one reason: to ensure our vast public resources are effectively converted into measurable, real-world value for you and me.
Which brings us to a pretty big question about the road ahead. As our society becomes more automated, deeply interconnected, and heavily reliant on complex digital infrastructure, will our current frameworks of program management be enough to stop the next great public failure, or are we due for a systemic upgrade? The systems we rely on every single day are truly only as robust as the invisible governance structures managing them. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning the architecture of the public frameworks that are actively shaping our world.